I know this is gonna be a good dream because I don't know that I'm dreaming. I think what I'm experiencing is real. Those are always the best ones. I start off on the set of I Love Lucy. We're taping an episode, but it's jarring to me because the people should be color. I should be able to see Lucille Ball's red hair, but it's all black and white because the only reference I have for the show I Love Lucy is watching it in black and white. So it's black and white in real life. Everything around me. The set, the directors, the producers, the set people, Lucille Ball, Ricky, Desi, the Mertzes, they're all black and white. Lucille Ball has her head in her hands. I don't know if she's disgusted by the whole scenario or she's crying. Or maybe she's doing that patented Lucy cry, the wah. Ethel has her head in her hands too. I don't notice Fred or Ricky. I'm still trying to get my bearings as to why everything is black and white. I guess the theory I used to have as a kid is true. That anything from, say, the 40s previous, so 1940s and all the years going back to year zero, people lived in a black and white world. That's what I used to think. That color didn't come into Earth life until about the 50s or 60s when the shows started being colorized. My kid thoughts were true all along. We transition into the NES, the Nintendo Entertainment System, the gray box, the classic. Pro Wrestling. That game, Pro Wrestling, remember that for the NES? We're in the final match, and I don't know if you remember the game, but the last boss, the final wrestler you had to go against, was named Great Puma, and he looked like this was like early furry stuff, because you had a guy, he had the Puma mask on, but he looked like he was half human, half man, half tiger or cat or something. I didn't know what was going on. I was so scared of him when I was a kid playing this guy. You were really supposed to play him straight up and just go for it and use your attacks or special moves until you got to him. But when I first reached him, see, I always had a phobia that I would never reach a certain level again when I played a video game. So the first time I got to that level, I was determined to beat it once and for all. I didn't want to have a second try because I thought I'd never get that second try. So instead of using any of my special moves, when I got to the Great Puma guy, I got to him. I held on to him like they do in Pro Wrestling, that game, that NES game. Held on to his shoulders and he held on to my shoulders. And I threw him. I just threw him. It's the simplest move in the game where you just pick him up and you throw him. And he hits the mat. I kept doing that. I swear. I just kept throwing him and throwing him and throwing him until the time was almost up. I did it about 80 times because I wanted to make sure when I finally pinned him, it would go 1, 2, 3. If he got up, I was dead. So I wanted to make sure I got it. And I did. And I won. Later when I talked about this in the schoolyard, my friends made fun of me because they said that's not the way you do it. You were too obsessive about it. So that's the story of my life right there. So as real life will feed into a dream, that's the strategy I used as I was in this real life dream scenario of in the game, the NES game Pro Wrestling, facing the Great Puma. But as I was, so we locked shoulders again. And as I was about to throw him for the first of my 80 times, suddenly Great Puma morphed into William Shakespeare. I swear. An 8-bit William Shakespeare. Now, because he was 8-bit, it was hard to distinguish him. It was hard to see where the beard started and the nose ended and so forth on his face. But it definitely was the Bard. It was the 8-bit Bard. I was so shocked I didn't know what to dream next. That's how it ended.